when we distribute a negative number, like here in number 2, we really want to make sure that we don't get sign confused, okay? Sign confusion is when you don't know whether it's supposed to be a plus or a minus, so you kind of just guess, and it makes your problem incorrect more often than not. So negative 4 times 5v, and we have negative 4 times 3. Now, what sign needs to go in between these two multiplication setups here? Well, what sign is in between them inside the parentheses? A plus sign, right? 5v plus 3. So, this plus sign's got to get brought down in between them, right down there as well. This takes a conscious effort, okay, to understand what we're doing here, which makes it even trickier when we're looking at it on a test, okay? So make sure you separate the negative number you're distributing versus the sign that's actually in between those two terms. Luckily for us in this instance, it's not going to matter, because what happens when we have a plus next to a minus? What does it become? A minus sign, right? So let's see, we've got negative 4 times 5v, that gives us negative 20v. And then negative 4 times 3 gives us negative 12. Thank you, Ella. All right? Just so you know, we're going over worksheet 40 right now, okay? And we just started. So, we've got a plus sign in between. Do we need to write this plus sign down here? No. Why not, Noah? That's right. We just established that these two signs together form a negative. So we're just going to keep this negative there. Equals negative 27 minus 5v. Now that we've distributed, we're going to make sure there's no like terms to combine. Is there any like terms we can combine here on the same side? Definitely not, because we have a variable term and a constant term. Then we have a constant term and a variable term. So there are different types of terms on both sides. So we're just going to start by bringing over our variable term. We'll add 5v to both sides. They cancel out on the right. And then what's negative 20v plus 5v? Yeah. Negative 15v, right? Sorry, no, my bad. Negative 15v. What's our next step? What do we have to do now? Theo? Add 12 to both sides. Perfect. 12's go away. Negative 15v is equal to what? Theo? Negative 15, right? Negative 27 plus 12 gives us negative 15. And our last step is going to be to do what to both sides? Go ahead, Theo.
Divide both sides by negative 15.
That's right. We're going to divide both sides by negative 15. Negative 15 over negative 15 is 1. Therefore, our v is equal to 1. And that's right. We still have to determine whether it's one solution, many solutions, or no solutions. This one here is one solution. Whenever we see a letter equals a number, that's one solution. Even if that number is 0, like in number 1. Okay, the answer to number 1 should be x equals 0 with one solution, just so you know. One solution on number 1 and number 2. Questions on number 2? Perfect. Let's go down to number 4. Now this one we have to be even more careful with our negative sign, because look at all these negative signs we've got going on here. Okay? So let's really take this slow. Let's copy down our left-hand side. We're not going to do anything with that yet, because our first step is to distribute negative 5 to both terms. So we've got negative 5 times negative n, and we've got negative 5 times negative 6. Now, did anyone write this without the negative sign inside the parentheses? Or did everyone include the negative sign in the parentheses? Take a look at what you did on number 4. Sure. So if you, this is where things get tricky, and it's even kind of a hard idea to explain. So we can do one of two things. If we keep the negative sign on the 6, then we have to put a plus in between our terms, even though there's a minus sign in between. So we either have to stick the minus sign on the 6 or keep it in the middle. Okay, either one is fine. So negative 5 times negative 6 gives us positive 30, and negative 5 times negative n just gives us 5n. So at your second step in this problem, you should see that 5n plus 30 is equal to 5n plus 30. If you're a little confused on the signage here, think about it like this. We've got negative 5 being multiplied by 2 negative terms, right? A negative times a negative gives us a positive, and a negative times another negative is still going to give us a positive. So everything on the right-hand side turns positive by multiplying by that negative sign. All right? Now we're going to subtract 5n from both sides, and what happens? They all cancel out, right? All 4 5n's cancel out, leaving us with 30 equals 30. So what do we do with that? What's our answer? X equals 30? No, what's our answer? 30 equals 30, right? That's our answer. So how many solutions is this? Many solutions. Many solutions. And what many solutions means is if we plug a 1 in for n, we'll get a true statement. If we plug 10 in, we'll get a true statement. Any number we plug in, we're going to get a true statement at the end, like this, 30 equals 30. All right? Questions on number 4. Number 4 is kind of tricky. So if you have a question, please let me know. Okay. Number 5. Another difficult one. This whole worksheet's a little bit challenging. That's probably why there's so many thumbs down. Negative 3. This is the part we want to make sure we understand. Negative 3 is not what we are multiplying by each of these terms. Negative 1 is what we're multiplying. Negative 3 is just its own term off to the side. We're going to ignore that for a second. We'll just leave it alone. And what we really have in front is negative 1 times 4x minus 6, right? So when we distribute this negative 1, we're essentially just flipping the sign of both terms inside the parentheses. Left side stays the same. Minus 3 is untouched. And then we have negative 1 times 4x. This time I'm just going to bring the minus sign down and have negative 1 times 6. So this is the other way we can do that. I did not attach the negative sign to my 6. I brought it right down and kept it in the middle. That's right. 2 negative signs next to each other, Leslie, are going to make what? A positive, right? 1 times 6 gives us 6. Negative 1 times 4x gives us negative 4x. And that negative 3 is still out in front. Left side's untouched. Should have split my equation at the beginning. But there it is. Okay. What do we have to do now? Are we going to start bringing our inverse operations into the equation here?
No.
Now, what do we need to do first, Theo?
Combine like terms.
That's right. We're going to combine these like terms. Negative 3 plus 6. Now, you may be thinking, how are they like terms? They don't have the same variable. Remember, all constants, or just numbers, are like terms with each other. So we can combine negative 3 plus 6 before we start moving our terms around. What is negative 3 plus 6, folks? 3, right? 3 minus 4x. Now that we have a constant and a variable on the left, plus a constant and variable on the right, now we can use our inverse operations to get everything on one side, or on its respective sides. We'll do the opposite of minus 4x, which is plus 4x, and we'll do that to the left and the right. Now what's negative 3x plus 4x? Just 1x, right? What's our last step here?
Subtract 9 plus 10.
We're going to subtract 9 from both sides, and we get 1x is equal to what? Negative 6, that's right. Is that going to be one solution, many solutions, or no solution? One solution. Letter equals number, one solution.
What number is that?
This is number 5. Negative 6. Did anybody get anything different? Plus 18, 27, negative 6, negative 24. Yeah, that sounds right. Negative 6, yes.
I just got x equals negative 6.
Yeah, that's perfect. X equals negative 6. So the 1x in front, we don't even need to write that 1. I could have just wrote x. 1x and x are the same thing. Great question. Jordan? Yeah. Another great question. All right, let's take a look at the back side. What do we got going on over there? There's a lot more problems on the back. Did anyone have, so let me, real quick, I did numbers 7 and 12 in that video. If you want some help on checking out numbers 7 and 12. Aside from 7 and 12, was there any specific problems here that gave anybody trouble? I think we only have about time for maybe one more on the back. Was there anything on the back that got people stumped?
Number 11.
Great question, or great point. I was actually going to go over number 11. In fact, I wrote in class on number 11 yesterday. So that's a great suggestion, Theo. Number 11, we can tell that this is going to be a difficult problem because we have a negative in front of our parentheses with no number. But what number is really attached to that negative sign out in front?
1.
Negative 1 times negative 4x minus 5. Then we have minus 5 on the outside of our parentheses equals 4x minus 3. Let's go ahead and do what first? Starts with a D. We're going to distribute. That's always going to be our first step, no matter what, if it's possible to distribute. So we've got negative 1 times negative 4x. And we've got negative 1 times 5. And I'm going to bring this minus sign down in between those two terms. And I'm going to keep my minus 5 right where it is. How come we're not multiplying negative 5 by negative 1? Why are we leaving this negative 5 out of our distribution? Any ideas? Well, it's because negative 5, if we look back to our original equation, negative 5 is not in the parentheses, right? Negative 5 is outside of the parentheses. So negative 5 is just an additional term on our left-hand side. But it is not included in our parentheses, so we are not going to distribute that negative 1 to it. Instead, we'll just multiply. Negative 1 times negative 4x gives us 4x. Negative 1 times 5 gives us negative 5. Bring that minus sign down. And now we see that, yes? Yeah, go ahead. Now we see that we have, again, two minus signs in here. So what are we going to do with those minus signs? We're going to turn it into a plus. That's right. Those minus signs become a plus 5. Okay. Before we do our inverse operations, what do we want to do first?
Combine like terms.
We're going to combine like terms. What are our like terms? What are our like terms?
Positive 5 and negative 5.
That's right. We're going to group up positive 5 and negative 5. What do those make when we combine them?
0.
0, right? So we can actually just cross those out. 5 minus 5 is 0. So we have 4x equals 4x minus 3. Give me a thumbs up if you're still with me so far on this problem. Okay, good. What are we going to do now? What are we going to subtract, Jordan?
4x from 4x.
That's right. We're going to subtract our variable term over to the left. 4x minus 4x cancels out. So all we're left with on the right-hand side is negative 3. What are we left with on the left-hand side here?
0.
4x minus 4x is equal to 0. 0. So normally we just cross them out, right? And write nothing, because we don't need to write plus 0. But if that's our only term on one side of the equal sign, we have to write 0 in. We can't just say, oh, these cancel out, so my answer is, hey, negative 3. That's my answer. I know it may seem like that's the way to do it, but that's actually not the case. How do I keep dropping this? So what we have here is 0 equals negative 3. That's our result from this. Does 0 equal negative 3?
No.
No, they're completely different numbers. This is a false statement. So how many solutions does this equation have? No solution at all. All right? So we took a look at a couple of one solutions, some many solution, and no solutions. If you watch the video later today or this weekend, then you'll get some of the other problems, number 7 and 12 on the back, and then 1, 3, and 6 in the front. Again, there's some no solutions, some many solutions, and one solution. So you'll get all 3 examples if you watch the videos this weekend. Dylan? What's that? Yeah, go ahead. Yeah, that's fine. Any final questions about worksheet 40? So, here's what we're going to do, folks. Worksheet 40 is, like I said, more challenging than normal, than, what we're normally used to. So, I'm going to collect worksheet 40 right now if you've got it done. If you need more time, go ahead and hold on to it and give it to me next week. Actually, you know what? Everyone go ahead and turn it in. I'm going to check them off and give them back to you before the end of class. Let's do that instead. So everybody turn worksheet 40 in, whether you're done or not.